All right, good morning, sports fans. All right, we are here. Um, I'm here. Mephiston's here. Maybe you guys are here. What is this? Is this working? Please hold. Just trying to figure out thing, and we'll get underway here in just a minute. Usually, I have like a little notification that says, "Yeah, your shit's together," but the notification has not come on this day. So if you're here with me, I would appreciate some sort of okay. No, it says so right here. Right, right. It's this here. Okay, okay. All right. Well, let's get started. So I got the Mephiston right here. We got gloves. Let's give you some little glove action. Okay, welcome to this lunch hammer stream. Now it's begun. We got the gloves. Got the gloves going. All right. So I've had one of those like mornings where like been running, like I've been doing stuff. So I'm just happy that now, I'm very productive, but like who we. So I'm just happy to be like sitting down. Like I get to sit down, I get to paint a mini. So that's gonna be fun. Fun prospect here. To just sue. Good on Mephiston. I got this in a second-hand lot. It's this guy is 3D printed, so we can't sell it. Excuse me, we can't sell it afterwards. This has to stay in my own little collection. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a. Well, I could sell it, but it would be we'd have to. It has to be the disclaimer. I can't sell it to out wide. I could sell it to like friends and stuff. So we're gonna try something funny. Instead of just doing like regular traditional red that we could easily do, we'll try something a little bit more funky with this today. Just this, just because it's fun. And I think the smartest way to start this fine fella is with the sword. I think we get the sword and then we mask it off. That's gonna be our first play in this whole affair. So I got the tape right here, and then yeah. So we'll start with the sword. We'll mask it off, and then we'll get something crazy going with the red. We'll try something. It maybe as usual. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. Well, it's just because otherwise we do red minis. Because red is one of my favorite colors to paint. But then we could do like this one red technique that I love, and then we do this every time. But then every time we have a stream, is the exact same thing. So that's not quite fun. Whereas if we paint armies, like if this was like a mini for an army, then yes, doing always the same red kind of makes sense if in an army perspective. But this is just a stream thing, so we might as well explore some different techniques instead of just sticking to the one way. At least that's what I think. Maybe if you guys want me to do more classic stuff, we can do that as well. I don't mind. Instead of just trying some wacky stuff, you guys just let me know in the comments or in the chat if anybody's here right now live. Or if you're watching this afterwards in the comments, it's because this is a community stream, so if you guys like some more classic stuff and not crazy shenanigans, I'm down for it. We don't have to do these crazy things. It just to me it seemed more appealing to do the crazy stuff on stream, because then when else do you get to try stuff and have the whole internet laugh at you because you fail miserably? You know what I mean? I don't get this experience, this cyberbullying in my life. Okay. So what I want to do first is, you notice this is the matte primer, the AK matte primer that I got. And it is very matte. So what I want to do first is just a couple of sections. I want to get this normal black paint instead of the matte thing going. Just to get like a more vibrant color, and also it's gonna allow us to match this later on if we need touch-ups, because we probably do, because this sword is in an odd angle. So we'll probably want to get some sort of like touching up. And I don't want to touch up with the primer color, because that's no bueno. Okay, so and this really just we don't need to do a whole lot here. We'll keep this close by the black. Reuse this soon enough. This here. Oop. Okay, so right, so we'll rinse out our black because we don't want to use black for this next step here. And then we'll do blue. I think we'll just paint like a kind of a. We're gonna use weird technique, but the goal would be to get like a kind of a box art looking Mephiston. So we're not gonna do any crazy. You know, like it's not gonna be like our lion that we painted a few weeks ago. That was just like a crazy bright green, like apple's green almost. We're gonna stick to like box art color, like a red and black and stuff for Mephiston. We're just gonna look at different ways of painting red, or a different way, because really I'm gonna try 17 different ways on a single mini. Crazy, but not, you know, to an extent. All right. This looks about right. This bluish color here. You know what? Let's try to keep this thing kind of so like this. Well, yeah, we'll do double masking. Usually what I do is I do one side, I'll do the full sword, and then I just mask one side. But since I don't want to do masking because it's a weird position, we'll do double mask. That's one half C's of blue here, and then you can see that we got like kind of a transition. The tip stays black, and then we'll do the reverse effect on this side here. So on this side, what I want is I want the haft part to stay black and the tip part to be blue. So now we have, you know, right now it's nothing crazy, but we'll get there eventually. And then this side is like barely visible, but we'll still. Give it a little blue. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna dump out like a bunch of this, but we're not gonna clean it. So we're gonna have like a very light blue color at the end there, because we're gonna keep our leftover blue. This, so it's like, I don't know, one part blue, one part thinner, maybe even more, and we'll add a couple of drops of water. Don't need a whole lot. This a quick shake. So this will be like almost white, but it's got like a lot of the blue in it because we kind of purposefully did not clean our airbrush, right? And so this should give us. Ooh. Oh yeah, okay. Okay. There we go. So we'll essentially. Oh, this was too. I should not have done that on this card stock. Oh, whatever. We'll manage. Watch this. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. Okay, so we'll repeat exactly what we just did, but now we're gonna leave some more blue showing through. And so now we get like, you know, kind of a power sortie effect. And we're not going to keep the the glow on the cloak, right? Because we could have done that as well and just like left this on the cloak because it's a pretty nice glow, but that's not as interesting, I think. I'll just do like just a little bit of this blue on the plasma pistol. We're probably gonna touch that up, but well, yeah, whatever. So we don't need any of this anymore, and now we can rinse this for realsies because we don't want to keep this white blue mix. We don't care too much about it. In fact, it's way better because we don't want blue mixed with our next step because we're gonna do another. So we have basically 2 more airbrush steps to this mini, maybe 3 if we're if we're splitting hair. Yeah, we got like 3. Yeah, 3 basically 3 airbrush steps. A loose 3 because it might be it might be 4, it might be 3 with like some little waiting period or whatever. So now what we need to do is technically we would need to wait like a whole lot for this next part to mask this off. But I'm not very patient, so we'll just end up touching up the sword, I think. It's not the end of the world. We're gonna put our little tape on, but the paint is like kind of still wet because did it. So we'll probably have some touch up but I don't want to wait. I could have done the sword prior to the stream and just explained it. That would have been, I guess, probably the smartest way to go at this. So. And so the key is to like not press on the middle part, and that should limit the amount of like touch up that we have. And then if you have like smaller tape, use smaller tape, but this is the size that I have here on hand, so yeah. Okay, so the next step is we're gonna take Caliban. Again, we're going for red. Okay, don't worry, it's gonna be red, but we're gonna try something funky because I feel saucy. So we're gonna take Caliban green, and we're gonna go thin down whatever's left in this pot, and we're gonna use all of it. And then this guy's gonna go in le garbage. Parabellum coming in with this is a big yellow sword. Yeah, it's a big nerf sword. You know, like one of those big like pool noodles with a little haft on it. That's what we got here. Right, so now we're gonna go with our dark green, and then we're gonna do everything that's red. So the big like popped collar, the armor, and then I think the inside cloak, and we do the outside cloak here black. Because I think there's like 1 cloak too many on Mephiston, so some red is gonna overlap at some point. Unless we do some of them like cream, which could be an option. Honestly, there's merit to doing this. In a cream colored. If that's we could explore that. But we can also keep this because this is not it is wonky, as in like this is color theory that we're putting into like the action, but it's not a complex technique what we're about to do. So this is again Caliban green, and it's not gonna stay green. Don't worry about that. And I'm not really looking to leave any black showing through. This would defeat the purpose of using this green. And I'm pretty sure at some point I'm gonna call this guy a Dark Angel just because we're painting it green, but it's not. Okay, this is again. It's just because I get confused easily. Okay, so I think we're good on this green front. And now we're gonna keep this in there. So we got, well, we'll dump just a little bit, just so we have, just because our pot is like almost kicked. So we'll keep some of the green, just in case we need some green touch-ups. And then we're gonna go back with our white that we just used, and we're gonna add this in there. So let's do like 2 drops to begin with. Woohoo! And we'll give this a good shake. We'll need to add some to this too. Yeah. So now we'll get like this. I think this is like moss green, the type of color. And so it's much lighter, but it's not like the sword where it's like almost white. It's just, well, yeah, it is very light. But this is a fine color. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do kind of a standard highlight on everything that we just did with this moss green color. It's very light, so that's kind of perfect actually. I don't mind this at all. Seem to have like a little clog in the airbrush. Give me a quick second, we'll fix this. Bellum, I don't know if you've seen you've seen this, but we're restarting a good old event that you used to be a big part of, which is called the Hellfire Bazaar. I don't know if you've seen this. True, I don't know how often you are on Facebook, but we'll be restarting those soon enough. Kind of stoked about that. Well, I say we're restarting those, but I just mean we'll have one soon enough. I don't know how many we'll have realistically. Okay, so now we have this weird, wacky thing of like there's like get up close. We got like this dark green and it's kind of fading to almost white, and I kind of dig this. We're just gonna add some little fun areas here of like extra highlights. And again, this cloak we're gonna paint black, so I'm not too worried about it. And then the next step is we're gonna put the airbrush aside for a quick second here. So we're gonna save this moss colored again, just if we need touch-ups at some point. It's good to have. We're gonna rinse this out real quick because white tends to dry quickly. Don't want to clog up our airbrush with this. This is not a watching some guy clean his airbrush stream. That's not what we're about. Okay, so and then this if we play our cards right, we have one more airbrush step, and it's just after a one brush step essentially. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add white, and we're gonna have like so we have like 1 drop of white and like almost nothing of the green, but just a little bit, just to say we're not painting like straight up white onto this poor Space Marine here. And I got a smaller end brush. It's not perfect by any means, but it should be good enough. And we'll just add some like edge highlights here. We're doing this very early on, but that should serve us fine later on. And we're just gonna add just a couple. I'm trying this out. I don't know how this is not a technique that I know full well again, so it might not work out as I intended to work out, but I think the theory is sound, and then see with the practice. Again, just some more quick highlights. Big ass mold line over there. Same thing. So on backpack, we're gonna couple good clean edge highlights. And you can. I'm not being too dainty with this. I just want to get some crisp lines in there. They're not going to be perfect, and we're not doing like 100% of all of the lines that are available to us. This is really just to put some accent into some. Okay, and then this elbow piece. And this foot here, footsie action. That's this little foot as well. It's kind of hidden by our tape. And I'm just doing the bottom. I'm not doing like the extras on the folds and stuff. I think the folds are gonna be taken care of with this next step. And if it doesn't work, we'll revisit this. Later. We'll try to fix. If this does not work on the cloak, we'll fix it when we get there. But now we have our mini. It's like it's highlighted, meaning like from this distance you can see, and it almost looks like this green color is really good if we want to make like a statue. Like this is a pretty premium like statue color, which is funny because we didn't really use any turquoise, and I think that would be kind of my go-to color for the turquoise. For statues would be to go with turquoise, and that's not at all what's going on right now. Made a big mess here. I just wanted to clean out the. Okay. So now our last airbrush step for this, let's see how it works out, is going to be contrast blood angle red here. And blood angle red is very potent, so we do need to thin it down. Because I think otherwise it's going to be too strong. And also because we can do 2 light passes on this to get it, but if we do 1 too heavy pass, it's going to fuck up instantly. So it's better that this is too thin and we go slowly than it is too heavy and we have to start over. Because we don't have that kind of time, you know. This is not a race, but also I don't have all day to do this. Minis are fun when they're painted, not, in the in between. I don't care. All right, so let's give this guy a. Okay, so this should be fine. Okay, so we got our red going, and it's very transparent, but it's also very bold red. But now, this is very transparent, and the color theory says that if we put transparent red on top of green, we're going to get like a very smooth and deep shading. So that's the idea. So we're going to do 1 even coat. Okay, we don't want to do the contrast thing where we let it pool. We did our effect first. What we're really interested in heavy pigments and transparent paint. Okay, that's why we use contrast here. And again, well, I'm going pretty slowly at this. I want to make sure I get it like clean coats of this red. I don't want to go too heavy. And now the biggest like issue is we really want to hit those like recesses, but we don't want to put too much on the we don't want to put too much paint on the raised areas as well. So this is kind of the dilemma, or the only like, well, not the only issue with this technique, but there's because there's a couple, but like this was all pretty simple, and look how deep this like the folds in this cloak are. This is pretty sweet, and this was not complex any bit. Like we barely did any brush, like very little brush work, and so I think the crisp edges thing did not work out too well. However, you can see like this the elbows thing. You can kind of oh yeah, you can see it. Never mind, I take it back. So oh yeah, okay. So, yeah. Maybe even too light, if any. So overall, I'm pretty. So like I liked it. This is a pretty good Blood Angel like classic color. And again, the main issue right now is we don't want to be stuck with grain parts. It's like everything we want to have like the red tint. So we don't want the grain to show like nothing. If we point at any part of this mini, we should not be able to say this is grain. That would not be like a success. Right. So even though everything was green at some point, but this is pretty fire. I like this, so we're gonna just dump this back in. We don't need to overdo this, because we can fix the deeper like recesses with like a regular brush, and maybe some even darker paint, or even some really thin down the grain, the Dark Angel green. What's it called? The Caliban green. If we thin this down, we can get like some sort of like shading going with it. So we can add some extra shades with this. So okay, so overall, pretty successful first go at this test. You know, honestly, the red is looking pretty good on the mini. Now the biggest issue, besides the fact that we needed, you know, like wanted to do like clean coats and everything, is that now we have to be very tidy, because this is essentially 4 steps. This is 4 steps, right, to do. So if we fuck up on the red, we need 4 steps of touching up. So that's not good. So the drawback of this technique, and why I don't use it too much, is because it forces us to be very, very clean throughout the entire process. Whereas my go-to techniques, I prefer to kind of plan around making mistakes. Whereas this here is like, if we take our time and we're very tidy, we saved a whole lot, and we got like a premium technique. But if we fuck up, it's a little bit nasty. Whereas I'm more familiar I'm more in tune with the, well, we're gonna plan that we're gonna make mistakes, and the worst that happens is we don't make a mistake, you know. So we do need some. I mean, even with the masking, the glowy thing kind of looks even better. This is wild. Okay, I'm on board with this. This is great, because we got all of the green and the black to show through. This is pretty sweet. Like, I don't think we need to touch up on the blue at all. Like, I kind of like this vibe that we got going on with the glow. Maybe the rock will need some touching up, but I kind of like this. Maybe we'll fix the rock. I don't know. Do you guys like this, or should we cover it up? Because we can cover it up. It's not a big deal. You guys tell me, and we'll start blocking out some other. Now the real like traditional Mephiston, the armor is a little bit darker. I don't know why exactly. I think it's just because it's a red on red action that they want to make it like significantly different. So we could go that route for sure. That's definitely like we'll do the traditional thing, but I don't think we need to mess it up too much. I like how it is right. So but we'll focus on some other aspects, namely the big ass cloak. Because this big cloak here, we're 100% convinced about doing it black. So we'll start with that because it's one of those non-negotiables, right? This cloak is going to be black no matter what. Go for it. And it doesn't have to be, but I think this is going to be a very classic looking Blood Angel guy. I was about to say he's the Blood Angel guy, but I think it might be Dante. Is this guy more iconic than Dante? It's hard to say. He's definitely because Dante is a gold miniature. This guy is actually like in a red scheme, so I think that's why maybe he's more of a Blood Angel staple, maybe. Hard to say. They're both the main characters, right? Because what I'm thinking about the blue is like the fix is pretty easy because I think as soon as we put our contrast even on top of the glowy colors is gonna match up pretty well because the glowy part is the lighter blue of the two, so it's is mostly the pale blue, so it's almost white. So I because contrast is so potent, I don't think it's gonna make a big difference in the final result. So I think we could mask it pretty. And then oh yeah, for the next couple of like streams, we have a couple more heroes, but then we're gonna move on. We're gonna have some Black Templar. We're gonna have a sister character soon enough. You know, couple of cool things coming up. Still haven't scheduled a 1,000 subscriber celebration thing. I need to get a move on with this because I have other like special streams planned. So because I think we could have done the cloak a completely different color and done this robe in black as well. I think that would have been another interesting thing. Because like I think red and purple are great combos. Like it worked really well. We could have definitely done that. There's a bunch of options if you don't want to stay to a very simple scheme. That being, I kind of like simple scheme. You guys know me. I like simple and effective, right? Like that's kind of like the way to go at this kind of stuff is like you subtract. You don't add colors, you subtract colors from the scheme. Big big part of like taking your miniature painting game to the next level. Let's focus on what's important and remove the other stuff. We'll do the gloves as well. I think black gloves is knock the camera with cap. So again, I'm trying to be as careful as possible around the red areas. I really don't want to touch those up. Same thing around the blue. I don't want to touch those. When I switch to a smaller brush to do the vents and the joints and the cables, just this gent is this one. Okay, let's switch to a smaller brush just to finish this glove situation and the other vents and stuff, and then maybe we'll add a detail on the backpack. I think the center like circle thingy is one of the details I like to do in black. I guess yeah. Let's start with the right. That's one detail down, and then let's keep building this up. This is I like this. Okay, step. Joints. Well, then there's like two big like cables on the side. Oh, there's a this. There's like a red cloak. They're part of the red cloak that's on top of the guy. You know, like here, like next to this cable that we just painted. There's like the robe that kind of keeps on. Is this the cape that kind of flows back? Huh. We'll leave it as is. Well, I think we'll just darken the armor like the traditional artwork for the Mephiston, and that'll give us like that cloak is gonna keep the same like spirit as the cloak that's in front. Like there's a cape and then there's a robe. Okay, okay. So this I think is part of the robe, not the cape. We're gonna treat it as such. Yeah, and then I think should he have blonde hair or because he's a vampire guy, right? So it should be. But he's also Blood Angels. What's the proper color? Is it? I kind of started with black, but that's probably not the right choice. I mean, it's a choice, that's for sure. We do whatever we want. This is our mini. Um, this is an interesting thing. As usual, I'm gonna rely on the chat at some point. Come here and save the day with the hair color. What's the reason I was going black is because that's like kind of a traditional vampire color, I think. But oh, the sanguineous is the is a blonde boy. Right. Well, we'll postpone the we don't need to hard commit to this. Let's keep we'll keep evading our problems. Nothing bad has ever come from running away from your problems, guys. Okay, so the more I look at this, the less I like the blue glow on the mini. Just because I think if we want to do a OSL effect, we would have need to do like a full on OSL effect, whereas this is just kind of a happy accident that does not work out. Like it does not work like 100%, and so it looks a little bit half-assed because it is when. And so I think we're just gonna go for cover it. We're gonna go for a little more clean look. instead. Because and the one of the other parts of this debate is that once we do the base, we'll have to redo the glow effect if we want to keep it that way. So I think what we're gonna do next is we're gonna paint the armor in a darker red because again that's a class. So we're gonna keep our contrast. So we could do there's two. We could do Flesh Tears red to try to just keep the vibrancy of the red, but just get like a much darker. Or we could just go fuck it, a Grog Searchade, which would also serve us. The reason why I like a Grog Searchade is because it will tie in really well with the gold. Once we add the gold, then we do a Grox on both of these colors. That's gonna look not like unified, so I like that option. There's not like the Flesh Tears red is just another another layer of red. I think it might be too potent. I think we would need to maybe re-dry brush some moss green or some white if we were to do the Flesh Tears red. So we'll do a Grox, I think. Now let's get a decent. This other brush that I was using is not great. Let's use this little here. And let's get, which do we see? Yeah, let's get the gold going, and we'll figure it out as we go. And let's use this color here, Rune Lord Brass. It's been a while since we've used this one, I think, on stream. So let's use that one. Because we have a vibrant red, I think having a muted type of gold is going to be interesting. And you don't have to do the little like the inside the blade little thing in gold. You could leave it in power weapon recolor. But this thing means absolutely nothing to me because it's upside down to begin with. So who gives a fuck? Like that's obvious. That's a detail they did not think when they put it in there. Like for 2 seconds, because anytime the sword is not in this specific angle, this thing is upside down, right? Like the skull is facing that way. The tear is also like this. This makes no. It should be the opposite way, for sure. It makes no sense. Anyway. Look at these little textures here. We'll go slowly about building these things. Again, we really need to avoid touch ups as much as we can. This is the biggest drawback of this technique, is it forces us to be very tidy for the entire process. Being tidy, I'm very loosey goosey with this. I did half the sword and then I went parts. Classic Hellfire experience right here. Hey. Skulls over here. And then we'll do again. There's a couple of details I'm not too sure how to navigate, so we're skirting around it as much as we can until it like the last moment, I guess. Camera and cap. Yeah, a new challenge. Did I never wear? Do I never wear caps when I? Is that like a new thing, or am I always bumping and then I keep forgetting that I'm bumping the camera? This is a weird. Going with this. Some detail on the book. I think there might be detail, but it also might be like with the print. The kind of maybe not the last part, but like one of the big detail that I'm keep going back to is these little skull situation on the plates, on the shoulder plates. Should they be? Because they're kind of like merged into the armor. So if we do this, we have to do kind of the whole shoulder plate. I think we're gonna go for it just because it looks good. And I'm a sucker for gold. I like gold on these minis. Yeah, we're just gonna go for it. Ain't no, I don't. This I think this is a trivial little detail where if we do it one way, it's gonna look good. If we do it another way, it's also gonna like. There's not a big. Not a big case for yes or for no. I just dig the gold. And with the armor as well, there's like a lot of red already on the mini, so I don't mind having some. And there's a couple of cables that we haven't really done, and by we I mean me, of course. You guys are part of this. It's not your fault, but we're all involved in this forgetfulness. But it's fine. Fix this. Okay now. Okay now. So I think this covers the gold section of our show. Well, the gold base coat section of our show. There's gonna be some more. Right. Let's just keep like color blocking all of this, and then we'll keep adding just base coats until we get like more of a clear view. I think that's a good way to tackle this miniature. Let's go for a dark brown situation. And this, you know what? You know what we haven't done in this stream is me stopping to drink coffee and slurping like a motherfucker in this microphone. How about we do that? See, I didn't even slurp. Okay, we are back. I keep staring at the cup over there. Okay. Right. So let's just get some of this brown thing here, and we got there's a very little of it because he doesn't have like a big Batman tactical belt going. This guy he just has like a pistol and I guess a grenade or whatever. Little Dora the Explorer lunchbox on the other side here. Oh, that's the book. It's not even. Never mind. Right. So okay, well that waste of a. We probably didn't. You know what? Let's cheat this in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is good cheating right here. We'll just. Hey, Wildfire, what's shaking? What's up, JJ? How you doing, dude? We're making some good progress on this Mephiston. Pretty happy. It was a pretty sweet, pretty easy effect. We're gonna add some maybe some little white, like straight up white highlight on the edge there once we get closer to completion. I think that's gonna seal the deal for it. Yeah, let's just do all of this in like dark brown. That'll be. We'll fix this. Obviously, it's not gonna stay like this. We're not crazy individuals, but yeah, it's gonna be a good start. Okay, so I'm leaning towards doing the hair. Oh, maybe new chat member JJ over here. Maybe he knows this. Is Mephiston's hair traditionally black like classic vampires, or is it bone/blonde like Sanguinius? I'm not well versed enough in the Blood Angels thing to know this. I'm assuming, is this one of those things where people are really up in arms about that? Like, if you don't do the proper thing, you get yelled at. Because there's a couple of things in there, and then the fandoms that like people are really. It is that way because Jervis Johnson said it was that way in 1987, and it will never change. And I try to like respect that as much as possible when I can. Sometimes I just don't know any better. There we go. Got silver going. So silver is gonna be, I think, our last like main color. Besides the hair and the face, I think we're gonna be pretty much like base coated up. Not sure, but I bet folks will get bent out of shape if it's incorrect. Yeah, see, that's my. I don't know how much. I don't know because some this is a weird. For some stuff, people get like really like into like for the longest time. It's not the case anymore because well, maybe it's still the case in some circles, but like back in like before the Primaris era, Space Wolves in the lore did not have access to new armor. Like they did not want new armor, so Space Wolves were always like in old armor. And if you were like into like Space Wolves like forums and whatnot, and you posted Space Wolf, you needed to have the old armors, or people would get like, well, this is not a real Space Wolf because real Space Wolves that. And it was one of those weirdest, like this kind of, I think it stuck with me because that's kind of how I discovered these like crazy, weird, like parts of the fandom of like, oh, this is important to you. Like this is a very like overall trivial thing that is super important to you guys. I thought that was like so I kind of embrace these things of like, and I did recently. Somebody pointed this out. I did a Storm Lord Space Marine in one of the videos, and I was like pretty sure that the color was like pretty rigid with like the hair and whatnot. The sorry, not the hair. The helmet was like yellow, and I was like, okay, so it must be like a thing. So we'll make yellow, and it gives a weird kind of look. It's very interesting. But and then somebody commented on videos like, well, they use the helmet colors to differentiate like companies, and so yellow is this company, but then if you painted green, it's this other company. I was like, oh, dang, that's like another like cool part of the this lore. Okay, so I kind of fucked up. We'll do. I kind of fucked up on the. I can't figure out the trigger finger on this situation. Um, I mean the whole fucking thing, and then we'll come back and touch it up. Yeah, all right. So bone slash off white. Okay, well then the brown base coat been rewarded for doing this brown base coat thing. I'm gonna use this to get a good clean. Let's add some more silver details here and there. There's like a couple like connectors in the cables. There's these little studs or rivets. Okay, so the little studs here gonna be tricky. The trick. You sacrifice a chicken in the parking lot, and then you come back and then you paint the rivets, praying to the rivets god that you don't slip up. So that's a good trick. The other trick is to hold your breath a little bit. Like if you don't have like a chicken to sacrifice to the rivet gods. Just hold your breath and rest. Okay. That's that. We'll figure this out later. And then any more of this silver thingamabob. We're pretty like a little gem here, and but we'll do this here in bone color. So it matches the hair. Like something matches the hair somewhere on this mini. Otherwise, there's like a lock on the book. This is one of those books like straight out of Harry Potter with like the screaming face on it or whatever. A lock on the. Okay. So we have one black touch up to do because this cable here undone. Oh, there's also one on the. See, a bunch of cables are undone. Oh, maybe. Look at that. Okay. Is there one on the other side? Yes, symmetrical. There we go. So let's fix this side here. And then this big chunky thing, I kind of don't want to. This is clearly like a mold line thing, but I don't want to fuck with it. I'll probably clean it after the stream, and the reason is if we don't, this is again I've said I'm pretty sure this is a 3D printed mini, um, and so I need to be like very careful about cutting this part off because otherwise it will break. Like 3D printed minis are fragile, for many reasons. But this was like given up to me. This was given to me, so I don't really, not care, but it is in the state that it's in because that's how we got it in. Oh fuck! There's 4 more rivet. Damn it! All right, let's hope that our prayers to the rivet gods are still in good standings. And we're not gonna do the ones on the backpack. Fuck that. Not about that life. Is it the Mephiston I gave to you? Yes, sir. Oh yeah. Hey, see, there we go. Yes, yes, it is. It is the Mephiston you gave me. He's here. I've changed it a little bit since you gave it to me. He is no longer black. Primered. He currently is still black, but that's a whole different story. um okay. Right. Black touch-ups. Let's do that. Definitely 3D. Okay, well, yeah, see? There we go. So yeah, so we're gonna have to be very careful. Like there's a couple of like print what do you call, like supports that are still kind of on the mini. So that's definitely like we need to address these, but we also need to be very careful when we do, because 3D prints are very delicate. I'm assuming I like, again, I don't know. This is a very, because this is like this 3D print is like the exact same. Like it's really hard to if it wasn't for like a couple of the little the like print quality things, it's really hard to tell that this is not the real image. Like it's the exact same, right? Like this is like a scan almost. Interesting. Um, yeah, it was free. I just want to paint it. It has no purpose in life. But this is kind of interesting because usually 3D prints is like more for like bits or like stuff that's like impossible to get. Well, I'm assuming this is, you know, when Mephiston was like all the rage. You want a Mephiston, and it's out of stock, like America, all across America. You 3D print one. Biggest issue with this stuff. But anyway, I'm not too. It's gonna go on the shelf. Whatever. Whatever. You get to. Everybody's entitled to an opinion on 3D prints, and everybody has its limits. For malls that I paint and put on a shelf, I don't care. For selling and playing, that's a whole other, different thing. But this is a shelf mini. Okay, we are. What do we do next? Let's do the face or the hair. What do we do next? Okay, I've reached this point where we have to make decisions, and I am not like no. Okay, so my new strategy is whatever color I find in the box first is what we're doing next. Okay, and this, I have in my mind, I have a list of colors that I need to complete this, and as soon as we find them in the box, that's the order that they go in. This is how much planning we're putting into this. So now we got like a bone, like a dark bone, dark bone color is not really a thing. Like I guess a hardy brown, and we're gonna use that for this little like scroll thing that's here. Which right now, as I'm painting it, this is a part of the this is a print thing, because the real model has like a little like rope that goes here. I vividly remember this, but he's got like, yeah, see. But we're gonna paint this as if it was like a part of a purity seal. Doesn't matter too much. And then we're gonna paint the pages of our little book. Up. And then we're also gonna paint the hair. And the hair, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bit of overbrushing. So it's gonna be mostly this color, but we're gonna keep some of that dark brown in the recesses. It's like the poor man's dry brush, which is weird because the dry brush is already a poor man's technique, so to speak. So But it works well for these kind of thing where we don't want to dry brush because we really don't want to overbrush. Like we don't want to have this brown on anything other than the hair. Like we with dry brush is like messy. This is a little bit cleaner. So we'll just get like the darker recesses in there brown, and then as we work our way, we'll kind of like smooth this transition of colors. But that will increase the shadow in the hair, and that'll give us more contrast. Because sometimes that's kind of a problem or an issue that you run into when you have like super light hair that you're trying to paint. Is you're gonna lack the depth in it. So this little cheater strategy here should help us with. And right now, seeing as the how the air is, I'm happy that we started with this because I think we're gonna highlight it now and then do the face afterwards, just because of the part that's on our left here is like inside and in between, so it's really hard to hit without fucking up the face. So we got pretty lucky in which color we pulled from the box, you know. So you know it's a good thing. Good karma right here, folks. And okay, so now we got like regular skeleton bone and skeleton bone. I love saying it that way. Mind me. Yeah, skeleton bone is a pretty sweet color for this. We'll do all of our pages and the hair and this little rope thingamabobby. And what I'm thinking is we probably shade this in a Grox Earthshade so that it does not turn too yellow. Because this is pretty much the same tonality as the gold that we got going on. And so with a Grox is going to tone it down. It's not going to be very like overtaking. Again, one big part of these little small details is you don't want them to overtake the entire mini. Because that's not the fun part of this guy, right? What's going on outside? It's like a... right. Now we got the bone color thingy. And then it looks worse just because the face is not painted, so that it looks super weird. But don't worry, we have a plan, and the plan is called painting the face. It's a complex plan. One step. Paint the face. Okay. Right. So, we'll use Bugman's glow. Let's do that right now. The face, besides the hair situation that we were doing right now, it's pretty hard to, like, the face is not in a spot where we're likely to mess it up. So this plays to our advantage where we can just finish it and it's not going to be on the way, in the way of other things, and we don't have to be super extra careful not to hit it. And so I don't really want to leave any of the brown except maybe like the eyes and like the little, just like a very, very short area where it kind of connects to the hair. That way we get like a very clean break between the hair and the face. And I kind of like that. I think that's like an easy way to make sure that even though both of our colors get to a lighter tone, they're still very easy to tell apart, right? So I kind of like this way. It's like a cheater's man black lining, because it's not really black, brown, and also we're not really doing a line. We're just not painting certain. And we could if we fuck up, like, because this requires us to be very precise with this base coat. But if we fuck up, we can cheat this in with a shading. Like once we get to shading these parts, we can cheat this like break later on. But right now, I think we did a pretty good job. Like from this distance, you can see the clear you know, the clear break between the two surfaces. So it's very cartoony. It's a very cartoony effect. But it works. It works well. Also, this guy's face is very tiny. When you compare it to the size of the gun, little tiny head. Huge brain though. Usually that's why he's a librarian. Okay. Enough chit chat. Enough of this bullshit. Max, get the painting the mini. We don't pay you to talk about this stuff. We pay you to paint minis. You know, I hear you guys. Also, this is free, mind you. If you're paying, you're getting scammed by somebody. I'm dying. Jesus Christ. Oh, I don't know what I did, but I should not do that. Whoa. Okay. Oh, we're back. Ali. Oh, okay. We're so back. So now this is Katie and Fleshstone, and we're just gonna highlight this. And we could go into like something like even the Halid Witch Flesh. To give him like really that kind of like undead look. I've seen this like around. It's a popular look for these because you know if you like you can go like the full like kind of vampire route. But I think the vampire route works best if you do black hair, because then you can really play into almost like a monochromatic look. Because you have like a darker blade, dark silver, muted gold, and then you have this bright red. So like there's some very artistic way to go at this. I think we're gonna go for like more of a normal, like a standard skin tone. For our buddy boy over here. Right now, but there would be like there's a way to make this. Like more like the kind of the traditional vampire look. Okay, we got this going. We got that going. There's two little areas that I want to do with gold, which are like I didn't notice them earlier. There's like two little. Also, this piece here needs a touch up. From this, like this very specific angle, kind of gives it away. That, but then there's also like two gems in like in the belt area that I didn't really look at earlier. I'm gonna do these in gold. And then of course we're gonna paint the gems, gem color. It's kind of like the last little step is gonna be to paint the gems and the plasma gun type thing. And then one last like silver thing, and I keep noticing little stakes. Okay. Right. Okay. So now I guess there's no real reason not to do them. So we could highlight the black first, and then shade the gold and the gold adjacent colors, or we could do the reverse. I don't really see an argument against doing the shading first. That'll give a grok search time to dry while we do the black. So we'll do so Agrax we're gonna do the skin, the hair, the gold, and the red armor. Not the full red, just the armor part, just so that the armor and the cloak have like a different like finish to them. So let's start. I guess we'll start with the bottom and we'll up. And so this will, I think this is like pretty much like the classic look is like he has like a darker red armor than the cloaks and the robes. That's what we're gonna go with. And so it again it doesn't change too much, but it does give like a different vibe to the mini. So I like it. And also the armor is like all lined up. I don't know if you guys can tell with this. Like I think maybe on the print it's less prevalent than on the mini, but like he's got all these like muscle lines on his armor, so I think that will come out great with the extra shading. And hopefully on the print it does work. Like it needs to kind of come through. We'll also do the book, just so that the book is kind of different from the cloak that is resting on. Like this cloak thing on the side, so we're trying to hit that part. And I would say we're succeeding pretty well at not hitting that part. So far, you know, thanks ourselves. So, and then the face and the hair, we can be a little bit dainty with this. We don't want to overdo it because it's pretty. I kind of like the way it looks. I don't want to overdo it with the shading. But the hair, I think, needs a little bit more depth. So we're gonna add some more, especially into this back part here. Like almost none on the top, but in the back we can party in the back, as the mullet saying goes. I like this. We could try to pinpoint the eyes as well a little bit more, just to give it some. They're not really sculpted anywhere, so the other option would be to make them glow blue. It fits with the gem, the fact that he's a wizard. Like there's a case to be made about this. I don't think it would be too outrageous to do. We're not going to do the little hood. The hood we're going to keep in the same cloak color. We're not going to do armor color for the hood. Again, it gives us like a clean break, and also the backpack is going to have the armor color on it because the armored part. So I'm trying on the armor parts, because they're all smooth. I'm trying not to let it pool too much. I think that would be a mistake to let shade pool into the armor, because then it creates a weird effect. We're more interested in just like changing the tone of it than actually like getting some more shading, except maybe in the, you know, we want to bring the nipple armor really to the forefront. Like I think if your mall has like nipple armor, you have to either cut them off during the assembly stage and like smooth this son bitch down, or you really have to showcase them while you paint. Otherwise, like you're you know, I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. Right. So this is good. This is good. And the other side, I guess, he's also got an arm on this side. Shocking. Very careful because there's a cloak. Don't want to hit. Okay, and then do the two shoulder plates. And on the shoulder plates, we can be pretty generous. Like gold, a grok search and gold are like best friends. And then that's where we want the deep shadow. Now we want the shade to do its thing, because there's all of these like surfaces, and whatnot, like all this texture. That's where it's fun. Okay. This model is turning out pretty sexy. Okay. Um, this is and then so the backpack, same thing. We're gonna do one even coat across the backpack. We don't really need to let it pool anywhere. Maybe except the plate there with the plate that's like on top with the little lines on it. Maybe that's that place we focus a little bit more on getting the shade inside these little lines so that they're really dark. Again, the main purpose of this is really just to get like a different color for the armor than the robe without changing it too much. The getting like additional shading is kind of like a bonus. Like it's not the goal, but it will happen. And so since we can do it, we'll okay. Um, right, right. Guys, I really like this miniature. Okay. So that's that's okay. Now we will highlight the black sections of this miniature. And maybe if I can use the chat participation a little bit, do we do the cloak fully by hand, or do we pull back the airbrush and try something a little bit funky, and then maybe we fuck up the whole miniature? I'm up for whichever. I think there's like there's value in both of these scenarios. So but I'll do I'll do whatever. We'll do. What about Dark Reaper? Let's do Dark Reaper. And then we'll start our highlights section, and we'll wait for the cloak until you guys kind of chime in if you desire. And if nobody chime in, well, I'll do fuck I won't. That's a good rule of thumb, you know. So we're gonna use Dark Reaper here. It's a pretty like it's a bluish gray color, and what it allows us to do is, first of all, we can be it's very dark. We can be pretty loose about our highlights, because then we'll just shade them back to black if we want, or if we're like too goosey with it. Like it doesn't matter if we go too heavy. We can always shade it again. It's not like a final anything. Why is this paint so thin? This super thin. It's gonna work out great for the cloak though. The fact that it's super thin. Just weird because it's not what I would have liked for the other section. Okay. All right now. Got most of our little areas shaded, highlighted. Sorry. On outside, isn't like a why? Yes, I'm sorry. There's a commotion outside. Ever like, literally, we fired up the stream, and then the commotion's like, hey, what is this business hour for like volume or? It's weird. Okay, so we'll do the cloak by hand. I don't feel like I think we used enough of the airbrush for any. There's no rule against more airbrush. We could have done this very early in the process, which is like do the cloak and highlight the cloak very early before we get to a whole lot more of this painting. That would have made more sense if we wanted to do it with the airbrush. I mean, because then you can do it very early on, and you don't have to worry about like fucking up the entire mini. You just have to mask like a little bit more aggressively on the cloaks and the armor, or vice versa. You mask the cloak while you do the armor plates and the robes. But we'll just do it by hand. It's not a big deal. And the fact that this paint is very thin means like we'll get to build this highlight like very kind of smoothly, without even like trying. Really, this is gonna take a couple more coats. Like if it was like very thick paint, well, this would be like more straightforward effect. But since it's all thinned down, we get to make this silky smooth. And I'm not gonna like this here. You can see it's like I'm broken, so we're not gonna highlight towards that direction. We're gonna leave it in darker so that it doesn't pull the attention. If we start to highlight the way it looks now, we're gonna accentuate the fact that it's okay. I don't want to go too much into this like this curve here. I want to make this. I want to make this like super light, even though it's a big area that's like on top of the cloak. I don't want to make it too light. So like we're starting to build it. It's kind of hard to see again because the paint is so thin. But the fact that it's thin means that we'll get like a very smooth blending. You have to build. Normally, you want to wait until the first coat is like fully dry before you put on like a second coat. But since we're working with like very thin layers, it dries pretty quickly. So we're kind of lucky in that front. And so and this is we can keep this like very minimal. We don't need to go overboard with the highlights on this. Like we can push it to like maybe not white, but like we could push this to super light gray. But we can also keep this only getting like this kind of flat coat of Dark Reaper in the highlights and not really go for more than this, and it's gonna give us like a very like soft highlight. Like it's not gonna look too out of place, too cartoony. That's the main issue with this is black. If you highlight it like a crazy person, you get into this cartoon color, which is very like not natural. Like if you look at like black drapes, like I would say if you look at black cloaks, but like the chances are that you have black drapes in your home and not a black cloak. Yeah, like I don't want to judge your lifestyle, but realistically, uh, uh, realistically, like common everyday objects or like a tablecloth that's like black. It does not really unless it's like a super like shiny uh, uh, material, like it will not be, the highlight on it will not look like bluish or like almost white. So we get like a much more natural look that way, which I kind of like because this guy is like dark and brooding and he's got a very deep red. So like overall, this is a pretty good looking fella. And then we'll use thin down Black Templar on the silver aspects. And the reason we do that is because it is a lot darker than on oil. And so we get to tone down the silver, because the silver right now is like really out of place because it's so light. Like that's the first thing you notice, the gun before the sword, and the sword is a glowing blue sword. Like that's an issue, right? Like why bother painting a glowing blue sword if that's not what people will notice? You know what I mean? Like you're fucking up. So we're gonna use Black Templar for this shading. It is potent. And then we're gonna redo our little like plasma. I don't know if it's like plasma or if this is like one of those Volkite guns. Because Primaris guys often they have a Volkite gun, plasma gun. In my mind, they look very similar, both of those. So maybe they're one, maybe they're the other. I don't. It looks like a plasma because it got the plasma vibe to it, but all right, and already, even though it's not dry or anything, it's like toned down. When you look at the mini now, you get the freaking sword being the main, the main character. And if you went too crazy here with the highlights on the black, this would be a good step to shade, we'll also shade this little gun, kind of all but forgotten. We could highlight it, but it's so like it's very pointless. It's hidden on the back pile of this mini. Like we could highlight it and do a bunch of different things, but it's such a trivial detail that why bother? Alright, so now I guess the next step, and then once we're finished with this, I think the next step is just to find a blood angel player that we like as a human being and just gift them this mini. I think that's the way. I think that's the way to go for this. Because again, I don't play a blood angel. This is a full blood angel, and it's also 3D printed, so we won't sell this. So I think we're just gonna give it away. VR. Straight. Now the hardest part is finding a blood angel player that we like, because blood angel people are. Little joke. Come on, blood angel player. Don't be like that. Don't be mean. Right. Right. And if we could, I mean, I was about to say if we can or if we want to, and you guys know what we want to because we're about to do some black lining. You guys know I'm a sucker for black. It would be weird to have like 0 black lining on a model, so we're just gonna do this little vents here, okay? Just because I like it. We're not gonna get carried away. We're not gonna do any other. We're not gonna do any other aspects of this. We're just gonna do this. Okay. Ow. Okay. So now, all that's left really is to, well, we want to finish the sword with like a one white highlight just to make it really this thing pop. And then, but then we also want to do a couple of gems on the mini with blue and the plasma gun because that's also part of the the full, the full experience, right? The full look. So all the gems and the other glowy thingies we're gonna paint in blue. Start with the plasma gun. There's a like, what do you guys think? There's a the bottom part. Is this like a grip or is that more plasma? Like the underneath little, because they're different. They're not the same like width and everything of the top ones. But also, it's a pistol, so why would it have like a forward grip? Right? I'm not the biggest like gun, not that knowledgeable on guns, but it feels like it shouldn't have like a forward grip on a pistol. Um. All right, so we're just doing a couple of these little gems here. There's not too many. We're not gonna do glowy eyes. Just again because they're not really sculpted in there because it's the 3D thing. So we're not gonna dabble too much with this. We're gonna keep this to a minimal. I don't think there's a whole lot. Oh, there's one on the. Right. Okay, this is cool. So now we're gonna add some white to this blue color. Um. Yeah, we're just gonna add some white to this blue color. Get our highlight, and that way it will match the It will match the effect that we have on the sword, right? So we don't want to use different colors than what we did on the sword because the goal is to get matching looks. Plasma thing, we want to do kind of a reverse, like like highlights would be on top of the plasma and in the raised areas, but since this is kind of a glowy thing, we want to do opposite. We're gonna have this light color in the recesses, essentially. Counterintuitive. That's how it works. Then we just want to add this to the gem, just a light little highlight. Go. And then we're gonna do like, I don't know, 99% white and then 1% blue, just to say that we're not painting like straight up white on any of this. Even on the sword, I like highlights and stuff. We don't want to go 100%. But it's practically all white. Some blue. And then we just want to add like this crystal highlight on the sword. handle situation comes in handy because we same thing on this plasma. Little plasma. And same thing, plasma. We're doing kind of the reverse effect. So we don't want to overdo. And then on the gems we can match the colors, but overall this is pretty sweet. And then the last step is just finishing with a base. So bunch of options because our mall is kind of like dark and brooding a little bit. I'm tempted to just go with like a dark gray. So like we'll repaint the base in black, and then I think we'll just do like a gray dry brush on the rocks. I think if we had like if we had an army, we'd just do the army color. And then maybe standard Blue Angel sand looks really good, like a matte brown type of color, almost like the hair on the mini. Like this type of vibe looks really good. Even yellow could look interesting with this because then if we add like yellowish like sand to this mini, we get like the yellow, blue, red kind of trilogy going on the model, and that's an interesting look. It's because it's kind of hard to pull the getting like red, blue, and gray, red, blue, and yellow on a mini is kind of a hard look to pull to make work. So sneaking one of those three colors on the base is usually how you do it, and yellow is definitely the easiest one to put on a base of the. And the rest of the base, I'm gonna leave black, I think. Again, just because we're probably gonna gift this to somebody, so we don't really need to commit to it, per se. Like if we wanted to do the base, I should put like sand or something on it, like some sort of texture. Right. And then while this little like rock situation dries, we're just gonna paint the rest of the base in black. Um, I mean, we could just cut this little like rock thing off and put this guy on a blank black base, like a standard base, no primer, no nothing. But yeah. And again, this is really just for cleanliness. And but as soon as we do the part that's just like behind the sword, you're gonna see, like this is gonna be a drastic like change. So I'm looking forward to that. Because it's gonna be like we're gonna take away a big part of this overspray instantly, like with this. And even though the base is like not completed and not even opaque, just removing this overspray makes the mini stand out even more. I'm very happy about this. And then the edges, I'm not too worried because we'll do the edges at the very end there and give this guy a good rim job. But for the most part, I mean, this is this is what we got. In fact, I don't think it's worth I don't think it's worth making you guys wait for this to dry so we can just dry brush it with gray. You guys are familiar with dry brushing gray on a base. I don't think. Um, but if you're watching this and you're like, I really want to see the final result, just check on like the Instagram soon enough. Like probably at some point next week is gonna be there. With the base, however we decide to finish it. But this mini is 1 hour and 45 minutes, and I mean, I think we pulled like something that's like really good for this amount of time. Like this is a pretty great showpiece, like centerpiece for an army in not a whole lot of time, and a whole lot of this is just because we did a lot of like pre-shading. The bulk of our time was like really just to get this armor straight so that we could do this in like one pass almost. And yeah, I'm pretty stoked about the way this model turned out. It's very, not super complex. Oh, I need to highlight these little gems. I completely forgot about those. But yeah, I think you guys get the gist. I think we painted this mini, and yeah, I'm just gonna complete the boring parts off stream. No need to drag this on for now. So yeah, stay tuned. I think podcast episode coming out tomorrow at some point, maybe a little bit late. I need to edit it and I have a big day. So yeah, check back in on social media if you want to see this completed guy. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next Thursday. I have no idea what we're gonna paint, but we're gonna paint some. And till then, no excuses. Hobby like champions. Have a great day.